Eunice Ng'ang'a Salisbury has requested the Council of the Law Society of Kenya to confirm whether the appointment of LSK President Faith Odhiambo as Vice Chairperson panel of experts on compensation of victims of demonstrations and public protests was her personal decision or that of the Council of the Law Society of Kenya. Okello Godric Kennedy has demanded the resignation of Meru County Deputy Governor Linda Kiome as member of Council of the LSK. Okello seeks to pursue the removal of Kiome from the Council of the LSK through a complaint to the Council of the LSK and a motion at a special general meeting of the LSK if her resignation is not forthcoming in 10 days. Ng'ang'a, Salisbury, and Okello are right. The President, the Vice President, and Council members of the LSK cannot hold offices in the Executive, Legislature, and the Judiciary. Odhiambo and Kiome ought therefore to resign as President and Council member respectively of the LSK. The grounds for that course, as advanced by Ng'ang'a Salisbury and Okello, are bona fide for the following reasons. First, the office of President, the Vice President, and Council member of the LSK is a public statutory professional engagement. Any holder of the office holds it in public trust under Article 73 of the Constitution of Kenya. The power of the office must be exercised in a manner consistent with the purposes and objects of the Constitution of Kenya, demonstrates respect for the people, brings honor to the nation and dignity of the office, and promotes public confidence in the integrity of the office. Second, national values and principles of good governance set out in Article 10 of the Constitution apply to the President, the Vice President, and Council members of the LSK. Holders of those offices must apply the Constitution of Kenya, uphold the rule of law, ensure integrity and transparency and accountability in all decisions they make. Third, the obligation under Article 75 of the Constitution of Kenya to avoid conflict of interest applies to holders of the office of President, the Vice President, and Council members of the LSK. It is incumbent upon them to avoid any conflict between personal interests and public office duties, compromising any public or official duties in favor of personal interests or demeaning the office. I've always held the premise that the LSK is the superior most professional organization of Kenya. No other professional organization has been given constitutional and statutory powers of participation in the appointment and removal of officers in the Executive and the Judiciary as has the LSK. This elevated position has been attained through deliberate and consistent determination by the LSK to hold the state accountable. Out there, the President of the LSK is more looked up to for solutions to problems afflicting Kenyans and respected than even the President of the Republic of Kenya. It is for that reason that the advantaged position and role of the LSK ought not to be compromised by any dalliance with the three arms of government. You will be surprised to learn that members of the public are disappointed in the actions of Odhiambo than some advocates. The dalliance of Odhiambo and Kiome with the three arms of government is not of recent occurrence. Any keen observer of the affairs of the LSK is able to locate their affiliation of intrusions by the Executive and the Judiciary in the affairs of the LSK. The two were used to frustrate the conduct of a member requisition forensic audit between July 2020 and December 2021. They achieved the desired goal. Odhiambo led the legal onslaught with a plethora of cases whose outcomes were procured through known charges. Kiome secured the frustration of the conduct of the forensic audit through the caucus of branch chairs. In an effort to force me to accommodate demands by the Executive, a judgment was procured compelling me to meet the 8 council members compromised by the Executive for a truce failing which the functions of the president of LSK would be performed by Kiome. I let them have their way. It is confounding how the Council of the LSK countenanced the appointment of Kiome by UDA to the selection panel of the IBC chair and commissioners. It is equally perplexing how Kiome continues serving as member of Council of the LSK and Meru County Deputy Governor at the same time. The office of member of Council of the LSK has never been desecrated this much before. Odhiambo and Kiome are free to accept appointments in the executive or the judiciary in their personal capacities as Faith and Linda. However, the acceptance of any such appointments necessitates their resignation as president and council member respectively of the LSK. They cannot serve both the professional, legal, lay public and the executive at the same time. That is obvious, let alone being consistent with the three grounds enumerated above. On 6 July 2024, Odhiambo rejected her appointment by the executive to the Public Debt Task Force. She justified the rejection on the ground that the task force is unconstitutional since the mandate to conduct public audits rests with the Office of the the Auditor General. Upon the declaration as unconstitutional and invalid of the Health Human Resource Task Force on 6 February 2025, Odhiambo welcomed the decision of the High Court with the following appropriate remark. We welcome this decision as it upholds the rule of law and the national values and principles of good governance under Article 10. What changed, necessitating her acceptance of the executive appointment as vice chairperson, panel of experts on the compensation of victims of demonstrations and public protests? This particular one has a lot of money. See the attached cartoons by Gamze and Gado. They close the debate on why and approve my label of financial elasticity of the 8 crickets on some of these people. Sorry, Professor Tomo Ogenda SC, but your recent projects at the LSK have been monumental disappointments. Odhiambo and Kiome will not resign as president and council member respectively of the LSK. They are more useful to their masters in the executive and the judiciary than in the LSK. Their accountability question, therefore, must be projected to other members of the council of the LSK. Why has the misconduct and misbehavior of Odhiambo and Kiome gone on unchecked and unremedied? Some members of the council of the LSK want to succeed Faith Odhiambo as president of the LSK in elections scheduled for February 2026. Others seek to succeed Vice President Kabata Mwaura or to defend their respective seats in the council of the LSK. How will they act differently as president or vice president, having acquiesced to the surrender of the LSK to the executive and the judiciary? These council members will, effective October 2025, be bribing youthful members of the LSK with alcohol and food and sometimes fare and rent. Where, if not from the pockets of their masters in the executive and the judiciary, do you think they get all the money? Youthful advocates, let me tell you what I told those who preceded you pertaining to 2 candidates in 2020 who had no known source of income but had deep, huge handbags with tens of millions to bribe youthful advocates, choppers and Land Cruisers to intrigue and owe them. This is what I told them. You will sober up from the drink after 24 hours. But the incompetent person you want to put in office will be drunk with power at your cost for 24 months. Many advocates listen to me. Then, you may listen to me again. I have seen the militia mobilized from youthful advocates against the demands by Eunice Nganga Salisbury, Okello Godfrey Kennedy, and Levi Munyiri on this matter. Let me tell you, friends, you are a deplorable shame to the legal profession. The not so youthful advocates and members of the Law Society of Kenya, I will not spare you either. We do not have an accountable judiciary full of integrity because the president and the vice president of the Law Society of Kenya are not serious legal practitioners. They do not understand the complaints of incompetence and corruption we make every day. Why, ask yourself, why has President Faith Odhiambo and Vice President Kabata Mwaura not called out and taken action on CJ Martha Koome and the Judicial Service Commission for institutionalizing incompetence and corruption in the judiciary in the name of decisional independence? Rachel Mama did it, culminating in the resignation of Bernard Chunga, heralding the much needed reforms in the judiciary then as it is required now. The Council of the Law Society of Kenya, on the other hand, can do nothing when the president and the vice president are in bed with the executive and the judiciary. Advocates, young or old, blame yourselves if you end up with an emasculated but sociable, executive, and judiciary-friendly president of the Law Society of Kenya in February 2026. We insist the president of the Law Society of Kenya, the vice president and the members of the Council of the Law Society of Kenya cannot hold offices in the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. It is as simple as that, friends.